Breaking news even beyond that tonight from Andrew Desiderio and Kevin Poulsen at the Daily Beast. This is an important story. Tomorrow there's going to be a little bit of a strange scene at the White House. They are apparently planning tomorrow on bringing in the president himself to make a big show of him personally chairing a National Security Council meeting about election security, a meeting about keeping the midterm elections this year safe from any external meddling. That, of course, is rich, given the fact that the president denies the conclusion that is unanimous everywhere else outside the Kremlin, that Russia interfered with and hacked into our last election. He's still casting doubt on that, but they're apparently going to trot out the president to run this meeting about keeping our next election safe, to run it himself. So that should be fascinating. Midterm elections are only about 100 days away. I should tell you that Democrats have really been stamping their feet about the security of that election. They've been stamping their feet with sort of increasing fervor and even desperation over the past few days and weeks. You might have seen a few days ago, this was Democrats in the House shouting USA, USA, USA on the floor of Congress as they tried unsuccessfully to stop Republicans from zeroing out funding to the states for election security this year. Democrats lost that fight to get that funding for the states, but they made a huge show of it, and they went down swinging. Soon thereafter, 20 Democratic state attorneys general and 1 Republican from Michigan wrote this letter to Congress begging for more money for election security to help the states protect the elections and the midterms this year. Even a former senior Trump administration official, Trump's White House Homeland Security Director, Tom Bossert, told Michael Isikoff at Yahoo News today that Trump's decision to eliminate the job of the White House cybersecurity chief a couple of months ago in April, he tells Isikoff at Yahoo News today that that was a dangerous decision. He says it leaves no one, quote, minding the store when it comes to stopping efforts by foreign adversaries to hack into the midterms like they did to the presidential election in 2016. So on this issue of the security of this election, from which we're like 100 days out, a lot of people have been throwing red flags about this recently. The Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, less than 2 weeks ago, gave this very ominous speech in which he said when it comes to cyber attacks in this upcoming midterm election, the warning lights are blinking red. He said in that speech 2 Fridays ago that he was deliberately choosing that language because it's the same language used by then CIA Director George Tenet to explain the missed warning signals about the impending al-Qaeda attack just before 9/11 in the summer of 2001. Dan Coats saying he's deliberately choosing that same language to talk about the threat we are now facing, including from Russia towards our next election. After Dan Coats made those sort of alarming remarks 2 Fridays ago, a vice president at Microsoft gave a public interview last week at the Aspen Security Forum where he announced that even just at his one company, just at Microsoft, they had already found at least 3 congressional campaigns for this year's midterms that were already being attacked by Russian state-sponsored hackers.
We did discover that a fake Microsoft domain had been established as the landing page for phishing attacks, and we saw metadata that suggested those phishing attacks were being directed at 3 candidates who are all standing for election in the midterm elections.
In this year's election, 2018, phishing attacks against
the staff of 3 candidates for election.
Can you tell us who they were?
We can't disclose that information because we maintain our customers' privacy, so we won't go there. But I can tell you that they were all people who, because of their positions, might have been interesting targets from an espionage standpoint as well as an election disruption standpoint.
So the staff of 3 congressional candidates being attacked by Russian hackers using the same techniques we saw used to such great effect against the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party in 2016. That was a Microsoft vice president saying a few days ago that his company has caught efforts by Russia to attack at least 3 specific candidates in this year's midterms. But he wouldn't say who they were. Now tonight, thanks to new investigative reporting from the Daily Beast, we know who at least one of those candidates is. And surprise, it is the #1 most wanted Democratic senator, being targeted by Republicans in U.S. Senate elections this year. Here's the report from Daily Beast tonight. Quote, Senator Claire McCaskill is a top target for Republicans looking to grow their slim Senate majority in 2018. Turns out Russia's fancy bear hackers are going after her staff, too. Quote, that makes the Missouri Democrat the first identified target of the Kremlin's 2018 election interference. The attempt against McCaskill's office was a variant of the password stealing technique used by Russian hackers against Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta in 2016. The hackers sent forged notification emails claiming the target's Microsoft Exchange password had expired and instructing the target to change it. If the target clicked on the link, he or she would be taken to a convincing replica of the U.S. Senate's login page, a single sign-on point for email and other services. As with the Podesta phishing, each Senate phishing email had a different link coded with the recipient's email address. That's important because that allowed the fake password change website, the fake one, to display the user's email address when the target arrived at that address, making the site appear all the more convincing. The Daily Beast reporters then explain how they investigated which congressional candidates might have been targeted with this technique following that announcement from Microsoft that Microsoft had spotted 3 targeted campaigns. Daily Beast reporters explain, quote, a snapshot of a deep link on the phishing site taken by a website security scanner showed the fake password change page with the Senate email address of a Claire McCaskill policy aide on display. And that's how they figured out that the first known target of Russian midterm election interference this year is Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill. Joining us now is one of the reporters who broke the news that Senator McCaskill has been targeted in this way. Kevin Polson is senior national security correspondent for the Daily Beast. Mr. Polson, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So this is impressive detective work, at least as far as I can tell, the way that you guys have laid it out in this piece. How did you figure this out? Did you guys start this reporting trail with that announcement from Microsoft? Did they give you enough to go on in order to piece this together?
They did. If you actually watch the full presentation, the Microsoft VP is talking about a legal case that Microsoft brought that gave them ultimately the right to grab these website addresses once they've identified them as being these Russian hackers. And that's what led to them discovering this. So with that information, I had enough to go on.
I mean, that's actually, it's a reporting point. It's also, I think, it's a big sort of a citizenship point. One of the things I think regular citizens have been wringing our hands about when it comes to the prospect of Russia interfering in another U.S. election is the question of defense. You know, what defenses we have against them doing this stuff, particularly because we knew they did it before. And in this case, it does seem like it was a federal court ruling that helped Microsoft catch this attack in action, and that in turn helped you figure out who one of the targets was.
Yeah, it was a really interesting case. I actually broke that story last year, that Microsoft going into court and actually suing these hackers as John Doe defendants because they didn't know the names then. And of course, the hackers didn't show up, so Microsoft won by default. And that put them in this position where they can actively interfere from time to time with what this group is doing.
And basically, I mean, without getting too much into the technicalities here, as far as I understand it, and I understand it from your writing about that ruling, Microsoft basically noticed that these hackers, which it seems like, according to the recent indictments from the special counsel's office, look like Russian military intelligence hackers. One of the things they did was that they used pages that were designed to look like Microsoft properties to lure their targets into thinking that they were in a safe space. They were actually engaging with Microsoft and their company and their products because it was essentially a kind of infringement on Microsoft's trademarks in that way. Microsoft was able to seize control of those fake websites, those fake domains that they were using, and essentially watch these guys commit crimes using these fake Microsoft sites.
Exactly. And now, as a result of this, the GRU is catching on, and they're using Microsoft-themed web addresses less and less. It's pretty rare now.
That's fascinating.
But it definitely gave Microsoft an advantage for a while.
I want to ask you about Senator McCaskill specifically. She put out a statement tonight in response to your reporting, Kevin, that said, while this attack was not successful, it is outrageous that they think they can get away with this. I will not be intimidated. I've said it before and I will say it again. Putin is a thug and a bully. She says this attack was not successful. Is it absolutely clear to you from your reporting that this attack definitely wasn't successful? I mean, is there a way to know if this was just one attack on Claire McCaskill? She would seem to be a valuable target for them. Do we know and can we tell if other attacks or other variants of this might have actually gotten what they wanted?
Well, that's a great question. This attack, I'll take Microsoft at their word that it was thwarted. But you're right, there could be other vectors that the GRU used to try and get into this candidate's files. And we know nothing about parallel attacks that they've done against other candidates. We know that there are at least 2 more. So there's a lot yet to be known about just how much activity there is out there.
Kevin Poulsen, a senior national security correspondent for the Daily Beast, one of the reporters who broke this important news tonight that Senator McCaskill has been targeted by Russian hackers ahead of the midterm elections. Congratulations on this scoop and for your ongoing good work in this field, Kevin. You make this stuff make sense to those of us who don't necessarily always get the technicalities on first skim. Thanks for helping us understand it.
Thank you.
All right. Much more ahead tonight, including what I'm told is some more breaking news. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.